Single-dad Janitor whispered. Stop the 3B deal. What the CEO did next shocked the whole board. The fluorescent lights hummed softly in the executive boardroom on the 42nd floor of Harrison Technologies as Marcus Chen stood at the head of the table, his silver pen poised above the contract that would change everything. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small moments to change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories. Also, tell us in the comments where in the world are you watching from. $3 billion, the largest acquisition in the company's history. Every board member sat with satisfied smiles, champagne already chilling in the corner, ready to celebrate the deal that would supposedly catapult Harrison Technologies into the stratosphere of tech giants. Marcus had built this company from nothing 20 years ago, and this moment was supposed to be his crowning achievement. The merger with Quantum Dynamics would make him not just wealthy but legendary. His hand moved toward the signature line when he heard it, so soft he almost missed it. A whisper from somewhere behind him. Stop! Marcus froze. The voice came from the corner of the room, where a janitor was emptying the trash bin. The man wore the standard blue maintenance uniform, his hair slightly graying at the temples, his eyes downcast as he worked. Marcus had seen him before. Always working late, always quiet, always invisible in the way that people who clean up after others tend to be. Excuse me? Marcus turned and the entire boardroom fell silent. The janitor looked up, and for a moment, Marcus saw something in those eyes that didn't match the uniform, or the trash bag in his hands. Intelligence, deep, profound intelligence. I said stop, the janitor repeated, his voice stronger now. Don't sign that deal. Quantum Dynamics is going to bankrupt you within 18 months. The boardroom erupted. Security! Someone shouted. Who let the help interrupt? Another voice called out, but Marcus raised his hand for silence. Something in his gut. The same instinct that had guided him through 20 years of business decisions told him to listen. What's your name? Marcus asked. Daniel Morrison. The janitor set down the trash bag and walked closer, his movements deliberate. And I know what I'm talking about because 5 years ago, I was the chief financial officer of Redstone Industries. Maybe you remember what happened to us. The room went deadly quiet. Everyone in the tech world knew about Redstone Industries. They'd been a rising star, valued at over $2 billion, until they'd made a massive acquisition that looked perfect on paper. 18 months later, they'd filed for bankruptcy. 40,000 people lost their jobs. Daniel Morrison had been the scapegoat, publicly blamed and blacklisted from the industry. I tried to stop that deal too, Daniel continued, his voice thick with emotion. I had a 6-year-old daughter at home, a wife I loved, and a career I'd spent 15 years building. But when I stood up in that boardroom and showed them the numbers, showed them the hidden liabilities in the target company, they called me a coward. They said I was trying to sabotage the deal out of jealousy. So I resigned in protest, thinking my integrity mattered more than my paycheck. I was wrong about what the world would think. The media destroyed me. My wife couldn't handle the pressure and the poverty that followed. She left, took half of everything I had left, which wasn't much. I lost my house. I lost my reputation. I lost everything except my daughter. Marcus found himself sitting down, gesturing for Daniel to continue. The board members shifted uncomfortably, but no one dared to interrupt now. My daughter Emma was 8 when I took this janitor job. I needed to stay close to the business world, to understand what I'd missed, what I'd done wrong. But more than that, I needed to provide for her. I work here at night after she goes to sleep at my sister's house, and I study during the day while she's at school. For 5 years, I've been watching, learning, analyzing every deal that crosses these floors as I empty your trash bins and clean your offices. And Mr. Chen, I'm telling you, this Quantum Dynamics deal has the exact same structure as the one that killed Redstone. Marcus looked at his chief financial officer, Patricia Ward, a brilliant woman who'd been with him for 12 years. Patricia's face had gone pale. Daniel Morrison. I remember the Redstone case. We studied it in our risk assessment, but our due diligence team cleared Quantum Dynamics completely. We've been working on this for 8 months. Daniel pulled a folded stack of papers from his pocket. They were worn, covered in handwritten notes and calculations. "May I?" Marcus nodded, and Daniel spread the papers across the polished conference table. "Your due diligence team looked at Quantum's books, yes, but they didn't look at the books of Quantum's 17 subsidiary companies in the Cayman Islands. I found references to them in documents I saw in your trash over the past 3 months. Pieces of financial reports, discarded memos, drafts of agreements. I put them together like a puzzle. These subsidiaries are holding $900 million in debt that doesn't appear on Quantum's main balance sheet. The moment this acquisition closes, that debt becomes Harrison Technologies' problem, just like what happened to Redstone." Patricia grabbed the papers, her eyes scanning rapidly. 2 other board members, both with financial backgrounds, leaned in to look. The minutes stretched into what felt like hours. Finally, Patricia looked up at Marcus, her face ashen. "He's right. Oh God, he's right. I need to verify this, but if these subsidiary structures are accurate, we would have been walking into a disaster." The chairman of the board, Robert Harrison, Marcus's own mentor and the man who'd given him his start, stood up slowly. "Marcus, I think we need to postpone this signing immediately." Marcus looked at Daniel Morrison, this janitor who had just potentially saved his company, who had lost everything for trying to do the right thing once before. "Why?" Marcus asked him. "Why help us? We're just another corporation. After what happened to you, why would you care?" Daniel's eyes welled with tears. "Because my daughter Emma is 13 now. She's brilliant, Mr. Chen. She wants to study computer science. She dreams of working at a company like Harrison Technologies someday. And I realized something over these 5 years of emptying trash, bins and mopping floors. I didn't lose everything at Redstone because I was wrong. I lost everything because I gave up too soon. I let them silence me instead of fighting harder to make them hear the truth. I couldn't save Redstone, and I couldn't save my marriage. But maybe I could save someone else from making the same mistakes. Maybe I could save the kind of company where my daughter might work someday. Maybe that's my redemption." The boardroom was silent except for the sound of someone crying. Marcus realized it was Patricia. He stood up and walked over to Daniel, extending his hand. "Mr. Morrison, I'd like to offer you a position, not as a janitor, as a senior advisor in our mergers and acquisitions division, reporting directly to Patricia, if you're willing." Daniel stared at the offered hand, then at Marcus's face, searching for mockery or pity. He found neither. "I have a criminal record now, Mr. Chen. Fraud charges from the Redstone collapse. They were dropped, but they're still on my record. And I only have a GED now because I never finished my degree. I dropped out to take care of Emma. I don't care about your record. I care about your integrity and your intelligence, both of which you've just demonstrated beyond any doubt, and will get you any education credentials you need. What do you say?" Daniel Morrison, who had spent 5 years invisible, who had sacrificed everything for his daughter, who had whispered the truth when he could have stayed silent, took Marcus Chen's hand. "I say yes, thank you." "Thank you." 3 months later, after the quantum dynamics deal had been thoroughly investigated and ultimately rejected, saving Harrison Technologies from certain ruin, Marcus stood once again in the boardroom. This time Daniel sat at the table in a suit, presenting a comprehensive risk assessment framework he'd developed. Emma sat in the visitors' gallery, watching her father with pride radiating from every inch of her small frame. And beside Marcus sat a woman he'd recently promoted to COO, Patricia Ward, who had become not just his most trusted advisor, but something more. She'd been the first to truly hear Daniel's warnings, the first to validate his research, and in doing so, she'd shown Marcus what true leadership looked like. Love had bloomed between them slowly, built on mutual respect and shared values. As the meeting concluded, Marcus reflected on how close he'd come to disaster, and how a whispered word from the most unlikely source had changed everything. Daniel approached him afterward. "Mr. Chen, I just wanted to say thank you again. Emma starts at the Harrison Technologies summer internship program for young coders next week. She can't stop talking about it." Marcus smiled. "She earned it on her own merit, Daniel. The application was blind. We didn't know she was your daughter until after she was accepted. She's brilliant, just like you said. But I should be thanking you. You didn't just save my company. You reminded all of us that wisdom and courage can come from anywhere, and that the measure of a person isn't their job title but their character. You taught us to listen to the voices we've been trained to ignore. Daniel nodded, his eyes bright. And you gave me something I thought I'd lost forever. Hope. A future. The ability to look my daughter in the eye and tell her that doing the right thing, even when it costs you everything, is still worth it. Because eventually, the right people notice. Eventually, truth matters. That evening, as Marcus stood with Patricia on the rooftop terrace of Harrison Technologies, watching the city lights sparkle below, he thought about the strange journey that had brought them all to this moment. A whispered warning, a janitor with a hidden past, a $3 billion bullet dodged, and somewhere in the building below, a 13-year-old girl was probably still coding, dreaming of the future her father had helped make possible, not just for her, but for thousands of others, who would keep their jobs because one man had the courage to speak up, and another had the wisdom to listen. "What are you thinking about?" Patricia asked, slipping her hand into his. "I'm thinking about how the most important moments in our lives often come in whispers, not shouts. And how the most important people often come in disguise." Daniel Morrison wore a janitor's uniform, but he carried a hero's heart. "That's what I'll remember. That's what I'll teach anyone who'll listen." Patricia leaned her head on his shoulder. "Then we'd better make sure a lot of people listen. This story deserves to be told. And so it has been, because kindness, courage, and quiet brilliance can come from the most unexpected places. Because every voice deserves to be heard. Because redemption is real, and second chances can change the world. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories. Your support helps us share more inspiring tales of hope, courage, and the extraordinary power of ordinary people. Where are you watching from? Which moment moved you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Together we can spread kindness one story at a time.